Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Ooh, hope everyone's doing well. I've been up for a hot minute. Because I did a spot on RT's Crosstalk today. Should be airing soon. What's up, DC Profa? I love pho. Oh, I want a bowl of pho right now. I'm actually started my new diet, which I'm doing that intermittent fasting thing. So, and I start mine at 9 at night. So I'm not supposed to eat again until 11 a.m. my time. So, right after the stream, I'm going to eat. And man, a bowl of pho sounds amazing. I don't know if that's what your screen name is in reference to, DC, but I don't know. That's how I saw it. Good morning, Karen. How are you? I've been up for a while now because I did a spot on RT's Crosstalk this morning. What's up, Daniel? How are you? Hope everyone is well. I'm having more coffee. I'm allowed to have coffee. I just can't eat anything until an hour from now. What's up, North Carolina? Good to see you. Hope to see you again soon. And I hope everybody is doing well. Once we get 30 people, we will start here. And we have some breaking news, everybody. We got some breaking news. I'm going to hydrate a little bit. What's up, Jenny? What's up, Kathy? Michigan? Yeah. DC Profa. All right, so that's not what your screen name means. All right, I'll pronounce it phonetically then. El Paso. I don't know when I'm coming to El Paso, but I'm going to be in Austin November 10th. That's my only Texas date right now, DC. But I will be in Austin November 10th. What's up, Jenny? From Denver. I will be in Denver next year. That's a guarantee. Potentially September. But Graham Elwood and Colorado is on the list. We're going to do a Colorado run. It will likely include Denver, Fort Collins, and then maybe Colorado Springs or something like that. What's up, David? Oh, man, Austin's that far from you, DC? Damn. Well, it's on a weekend. If you're up for a road trip, go for it. Daniel, you got some coffee. That's good. New Mexico. Tim, I'm coming. I really want to. So I was supposed to play this casino in New Mexico in Santa Fe. And the only reason I took the gig was because my girlfriend really wants to see the... well, I want to see it too. It's not just her, but she really wants to see the Georgia O'Keeffe in Santa Fe. So I said, yeah, let me take this gig. We'll fly out for 2 days. We'll go to the museum for a night, and then I'll do, a show or whatever. Do the show. And the gig got canceled, like right before we booked our flight. The gig got canceled. And it was again, it was I don't play casinos very often. It's not really my scene. I do it every now and again, mostly just for just for fun or just for, a couple extra bucks or whatever. But, yeah. So I told my girlfriend we would just plan something, in Santa Fe so we could go to the museum. So yeah, Tim, I guess to make a long answer longer, I will be in New Mexico. I played Albuquerque a couple years ago, had a really good fun time. I've actually played there a couple times. It's a cool town. Santa Fe, I've been through, never been there. And we're at 30. Boom! Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I am Ron Placone, your host. I've been up for a couple hours now, you guys. I did a spot on RT's Crosstalk this morning. I had a fun time. I gotta say, on my end, it was not one of my stronger appearances. I felt, I just didn't feel like I was contributing the way I wanted to. I was the only progressive on the panel. But one of the other guys on the panel, based on the topic, and I don't know anything about this guy's background. I know he's a writer. But based on the topic, we kind of saw eye to eye on a lot of things because he was very critical of both parties and a lot of the corruption regarding the Democrats we shared. So I felt weird having somebody agree with me. on that show. But and I called it out. I'm like, I'm not used to anyone ever agreeing with me. So I had a couple funny moments, but I didn't feel, there was a lot of Kavanaugh talk, and I don't have much more to say about that than what I've already said. I don't, obviously I don't support his nomination. I think he's a terrible, terrible candidate. And as far as the allegations go, it's he said versus she said, and I don't believe him. I just don't believe him. He's not on a trial, so it's just a judgment call that people make. And my judgment is I just don't believe him. I mean, what else can you say other than it's like, yeah, I don't believe him. So anyway, so there was a lot of Kavanaugh talk, and I just felt like I didn't have much to add other than, well, I think he's a terrible nominee. Like, I didn't want to see him confirmed. I think he's awful, based on the conversation we were having. Anyway, let's move on, because there's breaking news. Breaking news. Nikki Haley, guys. Nikki Haley's out. Nikki Haley resigns as U.S. ambassador. As UN. U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. I don't know why it took me so long to get that title out. I don't know what I'm doing. But she resigned. And guys, so this is breaking news. But let's go to an article real quick, and then we're going to talk about it. Because the topic for the day, and get your thoughts ready, I'm going to ask you guys, why do you think she resigned? Now, keep in mind, this is breaking news. I found out about this about 15 minutes ago. This comes as a surprise. I Googled, why did Nikki Haley resign? Nobody has any theories out there yet. Everyone's just saying this was unexpected, comes as a surprise. The explanation she's giving is because she just thought it was time to step down. She's a believer in term limits. Very generic political answers. Like the most generic. And of course, Trump is singing her praises. Hey, look, I got a surprise. Look who's here. She's been up early today, too. When I got up early, she got up, too. She was like, what's going on? This isn't typical. But you know what? I do firmly believe cats have a sixth sense. And here's something that supports that. Lucy, she usually wakes up around the same time we do every morning. And if we sleep in a little bit, she'll get a little fussy because she eats in the morning. I got to get one of those timer feeder things. But anyway, she was going a little apeshit this morning. And was like, but she wasn't bothering my girlfriend. She was only bothering me. And she was like, kind of like nuzzling my, kind of like brushing my face, like with her face, and like brushing my hands and kind of trying to wake me up. And I'm like, what the hell, Lucy? And I'm thinking, it's not even light out. I'm like, God, it's got to be like 3 in the morning. Did she hear something? I look at my phone 2 minutes before my alarm was going to go off. I shit you not. It was like, my alarm was set for 6:40 a.m. my time. My alarm went off at 6:38. Or, excuse me, my alarm didn't go off at all because I stopped it because she woke me up. But she was, like, prodding me, like, 2 minutes before. So, yeah, they got some kind of sixth sense. I'm telling you, there's something about cats. Like, they sense things. She knows we're getting ready to go away. That's why she's being clingy. I'm going to the UK next week. Everybody, which, by the way, quick announcement, there's not going to be any live shows for a little bit while I'm over in the UK. But all my UK friends, October 17th, I'm doing a spot in London. October 22nd, I'm doing a spot in Dublin at the Comedy Crunch London. That venue is either going to be the Bill Murray or the Camden Head. I'm not sure which location my spot is at, but October 17th, London, I am doing a spot. October 22nd, Comedy Crunch in Dublin, I will be there doing a spot. Come on out and say hello. But anyway, yeah, I think she has a sixth sense, so she's been up for a little while, too. Anyway, Nikki Haley. Breaking news regarding Nikki Haley. So let's go to this. Nikki Haley resigns as U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. U.S. President Donald Trump has accepted the resignation. In the White House Oval Office on Tuesday, he called her very special. Who gets it? Haley said she has no immediate plans and denied she would be running for president in 2020. Trump said he was considering many people for her job. She said she doesn't agree with the president on anything. On everything, excuse me. No, she agrees with him on a lot, but she did say she didn't agree with him on everything. So fun fact, the New York Times referred to Nikki Haley as a moderate. They referred to Nikki Haley, who has never met a war she didn't like, who made a subtle threat for World War III when she told everybody who opposed the U.S. moving the embassy to Jerusalem for Israel. She said anyone who opposes that, we'll take note of who opposes that. You know who opposed it, by the way? Everybody, except for the U.S. and Israel. Everybody else in the world. Everybody else in the world. So that's a moderate, according to... So anyway, we're here to speculate why she's resigning. Now, keep in mind, as of the recording of this is breaking news. I've looked on NPR, I've looked on CNN, I've kind of scanned the corporate media and the Independent. Everyone's saying the same thing. It's unexpected. It's unclear why. She says she doesn't have plans to run for 2020. Here is my prediction. Again, this is just a fun talking point. This is breaking. This is happening now. There's a lot of information we do not have yet. So, keep in mind, this is just in the moment. If you're watching this video 2 years from now and you'll be like, Ron was wrong and I'm going to use it against him, pretty lazy. All right. So anyway, my prediction based on right now, right here, and I'm going to turn to you guys and see what you guys are predicting. I don't believe her that she's not going to run for president in 2020. I think that's her plan. I think that she has had a lot of peeks under the hood. She sees how unpopular the U.S. is on the world stage. The U.S. is always unpopular on the world stage, but, they were more popular with Obama, and that they're even less popular now with Trump. They're always unpopular. On the world stage, we're always unpopular because we're always droning nonstop, no matter which way you shake it. But, Obama, more diplomatic guy, more likable guy. People preferred him over Bush. We were a little less unpopular. Now, we're super unpopular because we're doing all the same horrible things, and our figurehead is Donald Trump. So, I think she sees a lot of this under the hood. I think she's more in opposition to Trump than she's letting on. And I think that her plan is to run in 2020. And just the fact that she said, "Oh, I'm not running for president in 2020." Politicians do that all the time. They say they're not going to run for a certain office, and then time passes, they change their tune. That happens at the state level. That certainly happens at the federal level. It happens for president. So the fact that she just said, "Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to support Donald Trump." She did say that. She said, I will not be running in 2020 for president, but I will be campaigning for this one. That doesn't mean anything at this point in time. I mean, she might be sincere about that. Who knows? It's still too early to tell. I'm saying the fact that she said it this early in time doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you can just write off the idea that she's going to run in 2020. My prediction is she's doing this because she plans on running in 2020. I think that she is more in opposition to Trump than she's letting on, and I think that she has seen some under the hood. She realized how unpopular we are, and she thinks she'd be a better option, and she'll just deflect later. Let's say she does run in 2020, hypothetical. And people are like, you said you weren't going to. What's changed? Because Trump will call that out. He'll be like, she said she wasn't going to. She'll just be like, oh, well, I saw the decline in this country. I saw the way this country was going, and I thought I needed to run. That's it. Boom. Done. Over. All she has to do. So, yeah, Nikki Haley's out. Some of you, maybe you didn't even hear about this yet. But let's see what some of your predictions are. What are you guys saying? I'll give you guys some time, but let's see. Moose Gull, here's an interesting prediction. I think Nikki Haley left because of Kavanaugh being confirmed to the Supreme Court. Interesting. Garden Gnome points out how ridiculous it is that she's referred to as a moderate. Video Game Vision Quest, probably because the UN laughed at Trump. RT said Kanye. Karen, I'm not sure what exactly that means. American Chromatic Tree, American policies has redefined most terms like moderate, radical, liberal, etc. Oh, yeah, they sure have. Let's see. Garden Gnome, she's living in a fantasy if she thinks she can win in 2020. Well, you know, I think it's really hard to kind of, you know, project this far in advance. I mean, I think, you know, around 2006, everybody said there was no way Obama would be ready. And then look what happened. I think that, you know, I think for the longest time, people thought there was no way Trump was ever anything serious, myself included. I mean, I thought there was no way Trump was ever gonna, but then, you know, slowly but surely. Mel saying, I think she wants a Senate seat. Chris, we're talking about Nikki Haley. Daniel's also predicting Nikki versus Trump and Trump wins. Chris says she has less chance than Hillary at 2020. I don't know about that, Chris. Irina says she is seizing the moment. And a lot of you guys are not fans of Nikki Haley. Tim saying she's gone. I can only assume someone worse is on the way. Well, of course, yeah. I mean, they're going to be worse or just as bad. An American moderate is really far right, says Pro Center. A center left in America would be centrist in reality. Yeah, it's very true. I mean, and that's why, you know, I said this on a show, and you know, the person rolled their eyes at me, because that's a centrist thing to do. Roll your eyes. That's very centrist. I'm not going to say I've never done it. Of course I have. But, you know, the resistance, quote unquote, loves to roll their eyes. But, Lucy's done. Lucy's bored. Lucy's like, look, dude, okay. I said that, look, we keep doing this lesser of two evils, and the country keeps shifting further and further to the right. I mean, when have we had enough? I mean, what's it going to get to? Is it going to get to the point where a Democrat is like Donald Trump politically and a Republican is literally a neo-Nazi? Like, is it going to get to that point? And, you know, some may say that's hyperbole, but there are actual Nazis running for office. Like, there are, on the Republican ticket, there are actual Nazis running for office. Happened in Illinois. So yeah, I think calling Nikki Haley a moderate is absolutely insane. And I mean, I think the whole idea of an actual moderate is not even real in the United States. But yeah, what we define as a moderate would be far right in any other country. What we define as to the left would be center in most other countries, or in some cases conservative. I mean, if you consider just an establishment Democrat who is against single payer and wants to keep the for-profit insurance industry at the table, who is against living wages, who is indifferent to fracking, who is indifferent to war, who is indifferent to a jobs bill. I mean, that's conservative. You're politically conservative. So, you know, that's not left. Like, that's... So anyway, I know I'm preaching to the choir here. Darwin says, Haley is leaving to pursue her dream of becoming an actual war criminal. You know, I mean, if she keeps hanging out in the circle she's hanging out in, that will be an easy... a very easy goal to reach for her. Let's see. Daniel says, I'm sure we'll find a solid replacement in Charlie Sheen or just fund the resurrection of Rob Ford. So, well, let me ask you guys this, and then we'll get off the topic. Do any of you guys think I got something going where I'm thinking she is going to try to run in 2020? Do any of you guys agree with that, or do you think, no, it's going to be something different? I think it's going to be president. I mean, because I don't know who else would really step up as far as wanting to go against Trump. I mean, think of all the people that were just humiliated. I mean, Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz. I mean, they were just humiliated. Chris Christie. I mean, they were just part of this ridiculous clown car. I don't think any of them could run again and beat Marco Rubio even. They all got humiliated by Trump. I don't think any of them have the desire to run again. So the ground is ripe for somebody. I'm not sure anyone can penetrate the literal Trump cult. I'm not sure either. I don't think so. I think Trump is guaranteed to be the nominee in 2020. But I do think she might be trying to run. She'll probably try and fail. So some of you guys think maybe, some of you guys think no. She'll run as opposition wingman to Trump. I think that's, yeah, I guess that's possible. Irina says yes, she is going to try to run. DC says no, don't think she's going to try to run. I mean, again, we're all just totally speculating right now. This is breaking news. We're all just dealing with what little information we have so far. I'm just speculating. I think that she has seen, she sees how grossly unpopular we are on the world stage. I don't think she cares. Like, I don't think she cares from a moral standpoint. I just think she sees an opportunity to maybe have a chance at 2020. I guess we'll find out. You know, again, this is breaking. All we know so far, she resigned. It was sudden. Her chances why, her reasons why are incredibly vague, incredibly like just political jargon. Just, oh, I just knew it was time. I believe in term limits. Blah 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 blah. And then of course Trump. Also, just political jargon. She was great. She was wonderful. We respect her decision. Blah, blah, blah. So we're just basing on all just speculation at this point. Because all the explanations we've seen from the mouths of the people involved is just political jargon nonsense. Platypus is saying, nah, she is going to run for the hills. Guess we'll see. All right. Let's move on. You guys are already sending a lot of stuff. And I was up early, so I had time to load articles in advance. Go me. First time for everything. U.S. student is detained in Israel for the alleged boycott support. So it's a student. Right away, very threatening. A student... A pursuer of higher learning, right there, I'm already suspicious. But let's keep going here. In a groundbreaking case, Israel has detained an American graduate student. Ooh, graduates, they're even more suspect. If it was undergrad, all right, that's more. But grad student, you're still going in school. You wanna explore ideas. I can see why that. I mean, that is reason for detention. Student, yeah, that's, ooh. All right, so Israel has detained an American graduate student at its international airport for the past week, accusing her of supporting a Palestinian-led boycott campaign against the Jewish state. The case highlights Israel's concerns about the boycott movement and the great efforts it has made to stop it. Okay. Lara Al-Qasem, a 22-year-old U.S. citizen with Palestinian grandparents, landed at Ben Gurion Airport last Tuesday with a valid student visa. She was barred from entering the country and ordered deported based on suspicions she is a boycott supporter. BDS supporters say that in urging businesses, artists, and universities to sever ties with Israel, they are using nonviolent means to resist unjust policies toward Palestinians. Again, it's about the policies of the Israeli government and the brutal forces of the Israeli government. Israel says the movement masked motives to delegitimize or destroy the Jewish state. Wow, so they wouldn't let her in the country. And here's what they're saying. If Laura will tomorrow, in her own voice, not through all kinds of lawyers or statements that can be misconstrued, say that support for BDS is not legitimate and she regrets what she did, we will certainly reconsider our position. Wow. Wow. Why not hear out why she feels the way she does? Because I have a feeling, and I don't know this grad student, but I have a feeling she would say, look, I'm not against the people here. I'm not against the citizens. I'm against what your government is doing, and I'm for peace. And, you know, again, and I know I repeat this a lot, but it needs to be repeated until things change. But it's not about being against a nation of people or being, against a different nation of people. It's about being pro-peace. It's about being pro-solution. It's about saying, look, this conflict is brutal, and to start to solve this conflict, the person with the most force who's using that force to brutalize the person with no power, they need to let up first. They need to stop first. You know, I give that scenario where it's like if you see, if you walk in on a fight where there's this one big kid and he's holding this smaller kid's head underwater, and you say, hey, stop, and the kid goes, hey, it's complicated. You don't say, oh, okay, I didn't realize it was complicated. Carry on, I guess. See you later. You say, okay, I don't care about all the details right this second. The first thing that has to happen is you need to let this kid up because you're way bigger and you're holding this kid's head underwater, and if you don't let him up, he's going to die. So you need to stop that first. Then you can stand over here, he can stand over here, and we can figure out what needs to happen next. But first, you got to let this kid up under the water. Same kind of metaphor here, okay? Israel has kind of all the military might. Palestine doesn't. So, first, you kind of have to stop brutalizing protesters, brutalizing people, and then maybe we can start seeking some deeper solutions. It's not... And by the way, there's peace activists in Israel. We seem to always like to forget that. And not we, but, you know, people like to forget that part of it, that there are a lot of people in Israel that oppose what their government is doing. Just like there are a lot of people in the United States that oppose what their government is doing. Hey, here's one. You guys get the idea. I think that's ridiculous. They're not letting a student in, but that's just where we're at as far as this whole conflict goes. And the United States government does not help. All right, moving on. PopularResistance.org shares this. CIA Democrats call for aggression against Russia, run pro-war campaigns in 2018 congressional races. The Democratic Party is widely favored to win control of the House of Representatives in the U.S. midterm elections, with projections that it will gain 30 to 50 seats or even more, well above the net gain of 23 required for a majority. The last time the Democratic Party won control of the House from the Republicans was in 2006, when it captured 30 seats, on the basis of a limited appeal to the massive anti-war sentiment among working people after 3 years of disastrous and bloody warfare in Iraq, and 5 years after the U.S. invasion and occupation of Afghanistan. You know, I'll say this, too. I don't think the blue wave, quote-unquote, is going to be as high as people are predicting. There will be some Trump fatigue that's going to result in wins for the Democrats. I do think that's going to happen. I don't know if it will be to the degree that people are saying it's going to be. In fact, I'm kind of thinking it's not going to be. All right, so there's 30 Democratic congressional nominees in competitive races who come from a national security background. These challengers, previously identified by the World Socialist website as the CIA Democrats, constitute the largest single grouping among Democratic nominees in competitive seats, more than state and local officials, lawyers, or those wealthy enough to finance their own campaigns. The 30 national security candidates include 6 actual CIA, FBI, or military intelligence agents, 6 State Department or other civilian national security officials, 11 combat veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan, all but 1 officer, and 7 other military veterans, including pilot, naval officers, and military prosecutors. The range of views expressed by these 30 candidates is quite limited. With only one exception, Jared Golden, running for the 1st District of Maine, the military intelligence Democrats do not draw any negative conclusions from their experience in leading, planning, and fighting in wars of the past 25 years, including 2 wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other military engagements. Yeah, just because, a certain background doesn't automatically disqualify. Anyway, there are plenty of candidates. Well, I guess I can't think of a ton of them, but I can think of at least a couple candidates that have military backgrounds that I would gladly support. Tulsi Gabbard, Sam Ronan, and I'm sure there's others. They're just not coming to the top of my head. So, but when you have an intelligence agency background and you support all of that, you're going to be pro-war. And our military-industrial complex is one of the reasons we don't have things other countries take for granted. That's why we don't have healthcare. That's why we don't have, a Green New Deal. That's why we don't have a jobs program. That's why we don't have free college, et cetera, et cetera. So, you're the resistance? I mean, what are you resisting? And I think a lot of these people are just opportunists. They're just, we've talked about why the intelligence agency doesn't like Trump. They don't like Trump because they're worried he's going to be some knee-jerk reactionary and he's not going to be able to just continue the cycle of endless war with a smile on his face. He's going to screw up somehow. So, and now these are Democrats. This is the resistance. And, sorry, I'm getting the next thing ready here. When you have a democratic experiment that only gives you pro-war options, that's because it's broken. I mean, that's just, and this is not about purity, whatever that means. This is about the United States needs a real anti-war movement and a real anti-war voice. They have the movement. In fact, most people oppose war. We're in these wars that nobody's for. Nobody's for them. Everybody wants to see them end. Everybody wants the money invested back home in a jobs program. And they want to see the troops come home. And they want to see policies pursued where we don't put anyone's in harm's way unless it is 1,010% necessary. Where war is not treated as an economic opportunity. That's what most people want. Pretty much all people, except for defense contractors. And we don't have that option on the ballot. And they're not even subtle about it anymore. Because we have CIA Democrats. All right. Here is something that Edwin shares. Google drops out of bidding for the $10 billion Pentagon data deal. Alphabet Inc.'s Google said on Monday it was no longer vying for a $10 billion cloud computing contract with the U.S. Defense Department, in part because the company's new ethical guidelines do not align with the project, without elaborating. Google said in a statement, "We couldn't be assured that the JEDI deal would align with our AI principles, and second, we determined that there were portions of the contract that were out of scope with our current government certifications. The principles bar use of Google's AI software and weapons, as well as services that violate international norms for surveillance and human rights. Google was provisionally certified in March to handle U.S. government data with moderate security, but Amazon Inc. and Microsoft Corp. have higher clearances. Amazon was widely viewed among Pentagon officials and technology vendors as the frontrunner for the contract, known as the Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure Cloud, or JEDI. Google had been angling for the deal, hoping that the $10 billion annual contract could provide a giant boost. But now they've changed their mind. Thousands of employees this year protested use of Google's technology in warfare. So I think looking at this, and I'm glad Google did that. That is not a bad thing, certainly. I think a lot of this could be in response to what they were doing in China. They received negative press because of that. Where in China they're helping China with censoring, basically. They received a ton of negative press for that. So I think this is one of those things, you have individuals that work at Google that, have certain political leanings. I think that, it's certainly fair to say I'm sure there are people that are employed by Google that have very progressive politics, that are paying attention to stuff like this and aren't okay with it. So now, of course, you have Amazon rearing its ugly head. Jeff Bezos already has contracts with the CIA. He has contracts with the CIA. He owns newspapers. And he owns the distribution of food, or at least a wide part of the distribution of food. And he's going to be opening stores. And he owns Whole Foods. I mean, it's... all the things are in scent for him to become emperor. But, yeah, I wonder... whichever big tech company just kind of throws any types of moral ethics aside will get this contract. And how much can those ethics be bought for? In Google's case, apparently $10 billion is not enough. But I guess we'll see. But thanks for sharing that. And I guess we'll see where it goes next. We'll watch it unfold. And David and Long Beach both share this one, so we'll go here next. As this was shared by two folks, I'll just retweet the first one, which is David. But Long Beach, thank you for sharing it as well. And it looks like we're staying in big tech here, everybody. This is from The Guardian. America's first robot farm. Excuse me, I wanted to say firm. America's first robot farm replaces humans with incredibly intelligent machines. Ironox, based in California, aims to improve labor shortages and pressure to produce crops by using AI and heavy machinery. We don't have a labor shortage. We have a wage shortage. America's first autonomous robot farm launched last week in the hopes that AI can remake an industry facing a serious labor shortage and pressure to produce more crops. We don't have a food shortage, we have a distribution problem. Claiming an ability to grow 30 times more produce than traditional farms on the strength of the AI software year-round, soil-less hydroponic processes, and moving plants as they grow to efficiently use space, the San Carlos, California-based company Ironox aims to address some of the agricultural industry's biggest challenges. Such challenges have also caught the attention of investors who made more than $10 billion in investments last year, representing a 29% increase from 2016. If we have such a shortage of food in this country and we have such a desire for more crops, why are some farmers being paid to not grow stuff? Why is that happening if we have said shortage? Autonomous machines do the heavy lifting. Okay. A robotic arm, which is also autonomous, harvests the plants by gripping. Okay, so this just explains how it works. I think it's pretty, we get how robots work and they're able to farm. Considering the major issues of facing agriculture going forward, Alexander is confident in his robotics first approach now as he was 3 years ago when he started. We need to do something drastic. We need to do something radical to fix this. Not just something 5 to 10% more efficient. Well, and again, this is why we got to get ready for a more jobless society. Nicholas Carr from The Shallows will tell you, and I believe this theory is very accurate, that once the technology gets here, it doesn't go backwards. Once we have the technology, it's not going anywhere. And once the technology is infringed upon, it doesn't go back. That's why I'm such a strong advocate for net neutrality and hopefully building municipal broadband across the country, because if we lose net neutrality and the internet as we know it gets gutted, it's never going to go back. It doesn't go back. And the same goes for technology here. Like, once they start developing machines that can accurately farm and adequately farm, it's not going to go back. It's not going to go back. So we need to be prepared for a more jobless society. And we don't have a labor shortage. We have plenty. We have plenty of people that want to work. We have a wage problem. We have an inequality problem. We don't reach our potential GDP because we have so many people that are underemployed or want to work and can't find work. Because, yeah, if you want somebody to work and you're going to pay them a wage they can't survive on, well they're just going to keep looking. Like they can't. So this whole idea that we have some crazy food or labor shortage, I don't buy it. And the other kind of alarming thing here is that this is probably going to occur most on farms that can afford it. Big, large factory farms that are, as far as if they're doing meat, they're worse for the environment than small farms. And they're the ones that use your GMOs, your Monsantos, stuff like that. So hopefully this doesn't kill off the actual organic farming industry. Although, I think as long as people make efforts in their communities to shop there, I think the local farms will be able to survive. So I think a side note we can add to this, and this is the Heartland hippie in me speaking, but nonetheless, go to your local farmer's market and keep going there. I try to go to mine every week. I really do. I make the effort. It's so worth it because the vegetables and fruits are just so much better. So much. I mean, it just goes without saying. Or, maybe you have a local grocery store that has a good organic section. Sometimes I have to get some things from the store, but I like to go to a more local California-based supplies chain store called Vallarta. It's a Latin grocery store, and that's where I like to go. If I'm going to go to a grocery store, I prefer to go to a farmer's market. But I think that's a side note here. Whenever you see threats to traditional farming, please go out of your way to support your local farmer. We talk about crop shares a lot on this show. I recommend if you can do one, do one. Sometimes it might not make sense for you. For me, here in Los Angeles, I looked into crop shares. They're, like everything else in Los Angeles, they're pretty expensive. And it just made more sense for me to just buy stuff from a farmer's market a la carte than it made for me to get a crop share, because there's so many. I mean, there's farmer markets every day of the week in different parts of town because it's such a big place. Now, when I lived in Tennessee, there were still a lot of farmers markets. The Southern Bounty is nothing to mess with. But crop shares were more affordable, and it just made more sense for me instead of trying to seek out crop shares, especially since I traveled 40-plus weeks a year. It was cheaper and more efficient for me to have a box every week where I would get a share of crops. And for anyone that's not in the know, because maybe you weren't on the stream when we talked about it in the past, a crop share is you sign up via a local farm and you get a share of what they grow every week. So when the harvest is good, you get a lot of food. When the harvest is not so good, you get less, but you're still going to get a big box that's going to feed you and your family. And you can get a different size depending on your needs, whether it's just you as an individual or you have a family or you're a couple, whatever. I got a share that was just meant for a couple, but we got so much we actually shared it with another couple when I lived in Tennessee. So anyway, I think that's an important side note because I do firmly believe in organic farming and sustainable farming, and I mean, honestly, your taste buds, thank you. I remember, like, when I used to get my crop share, and we would get these carrots, and, God, they were just so great. And I remember the first time, like, because harvest season was only 28 weeks, and, at least with the crop share I was part of. So after the 28 weeks was over, you kind of either had to go to a farmer's market where they would only have so much fresh stuff, or you would have to just go to a grocery store. So at times I would just have to go to a grocery store, and I would get my carrots from the grocery store. And oh my God, the first time I would bite into a grocery store carrot, I would just get so pissed off. And I would buy, it was organic, so it was like the best you could get as far as carrots from the grocery store. But nonetheless, it's, oh my God, such a difference. Like, such a difference when you bite into that grocery store carrot and you're like, oh God, this sucks. This sucks ass. compared to the carrots I was just seeing. So your taste buds will thank you. So, yeah. And that's not, and again, sometimes when things are out of harvest, you know, I got to buy certain things at the store. That's fine. You know, I do it. We all do it. But, you know, I do encourage everyone, try to support your farmers and your farmers markets when you can, because it's, when you see stuff like this, it's all that more important. And looking at a bigger picture, this is why we need a jobs program or a UBI. We need both. We need a jobs program because we got to do the best we can to reach 100% employment. But, you know, with technology ever expanding, we need a UBI because, you know, I think we are slowly moving to a place where there's just going to be less jobs. There's just not going to be the need for certain jobs. And there will be new jobs that sprout because of that, certainly. But yeah, we could become a more autonomous society. So that's why it's time for a UBI. All right. And support your local farmers. It's an interesting article. Thanks for sharing it. And this is from Platypus. So we're going to go here. And then that might be our last for the day. I'll go to the chat to end the show. So this might be our last article today. We'll see. And this takes us to, I believe, Australia. But let's see what's going on here. Controversial Bylong mine approvable despite landmark report urging severe coal cuts over next decade. Coal cuts. Sounds like cold cuts, and now I'm hungry. I get to eat after this stream. I'm stoked. All right. The NSW Department of Planning has greenlit a new Hunter coal mine as a landmark report warns of dangerous global climate change impacts if coal consumption is not significantly reduced over the next decade. The department's assessment that the controversial Korean government-backed Bylong project is approvable was made public only hours after the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Ha! Wow! How about that for being brutally ironic in the timing? So basically, they approve more coal exploration at a time when we need to not do coal anymore. The time for that was years ago. And if we don't act drastically and act soon, we're in a whole lot of trouble. We're in a whole lot of trouble. I like to put it as we're going to consume no matter what, right? That's just by nature what we are, as like we're consuming creatures. But right now, as far as the way we are towards the Earth, we are behaving like a deadly virus, and we need to be behaving like a common cold. We behave like a common cold, hey, we're going to be okay for at least a while. I mean, eventually the Earth's going to, as George Carlin so eloquently put it, the Earth will eventually shake us off like a bug. But why not kind of do our part to make sure that happens later rather than sooner? Why not do our part to behave more like a common cold instead of like a deadly virus? When you are greenlighting coal projects, you're behaving like a deadly virus, especially when we have alternatives: wind, solar, other energy efficient means. And you know what would come along with that? Jobs, and sustainable jobs. Coal mining jobs are dangerous. They're not sustainable. Pipeline jobs are dangerous. They're usually temporary. They're usually nomadic. They never actually benefit the community involved. It's destroying our environment, and the only economic benefits of it go to the CEOs. So it does not benefit a local economy. It does not benefit the world economy. It benefits the pockets of the CEOs who just export that energy elsewhere. But politicians, and this doesn't just happen, in Australia. It happens in the United States. It happens in other places in the world. They dangle the job carrot. Oh, man, I got carrots on the brain. How about that? Second time I mentioned carrots. They dangle that job carrot. Donald Trump did that here in the United States. He made these insane jobs. I'm going to reopen the steel mills. He said that in my home state of Pennsylvania, which is an insane notion. That for sure would not happen. I'm going to bring coal jobs. I'm going to bring, fracking jobs. It's about jobs, people. Well, it's not. The jobs are overstated, grossly overstated. And again, at what cost? At the cost of the environment. This is the same thing here. And Obama did something similar because he promised all the above on energy, and all the above ended up being drill, baby, drill. So this is going on all over the world. And you see different speculation out there. Some people say if we don't do something serious, it's going to be too late by 2030. Other people say 2050. They're a little more optimistic, I guess. But no matter which way you slice it, we have to act now. Oh, here's something interesting. You know what? We're going to go on this. This is going to tie back to how the show started. And then I'm going to go to the chat. Here is a piece of the puzzle. Or maybe, potentially, a piece to the Nikki Haley puzzle. And this just came out 2 hours ago. So this is breaking. Nikki Haley's resignation comes one day after an ethics watchdog requested an investigation into her acceptance of free flights on private jets. Interesting. United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley's abrupt resignation on Tuesday came one day after an ethics group requested the State Department's Inspector General investigate her acceptance of 7 free flights aboard private jets. Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, listed the flights on her 2017 financial disclosure and asserted that each qualified for an exception, but the group suggested she did not provide enough information to assert that exception. Interesting. These flights were most likely worth tens of thousands of dollars. Whether the exception applies depends partly on whether the 3 businessmen were the only sources of the gifts. If business entities were sources of the gifts, the exception was inapplicable. So she got gifts on these. Federal ethics regulations prohibit employees from soliciting or accepting gifts given because of the employee's official position. The 3 businessmen who provided the flights to Haley and her husband were Jimmy Gibbs, Smythe McKisnick, and Mikey Johnson. Gibbs is the CEO of Gibbs International, and McKissick and Johnson are CEOs of private companies in South Carolina. By accepting gifts of luxury private flights, Ambassador Haley seems to be falling in line with other Trump administration officials who are reaping personal benefits from their public positions. Interesting. So that's an interesting little breaking segment here. Could it be that she thought she was going to be set up to take the fall? This administration has been critiqued nonstop, and deservedly so, for corruption. Nikki Haley, maybe she thought, I'm going to take them. Everyone's doing stuff like this. It's not like she's unique in that regard. It's not like they don't cover stuff up like this all the time. It's not like something like this couldn't just blow over. But maybe Nikki Haley thought, I might be a fall person for this. They might make an example of me. Again, we're just kind of speculating here, but it is very interesting that it comes when that investigation was supposed to take place. Or that tentative, the call for the investigation was going to take place. So that's an interesting piece of the puzzle. So I think there may be some relevance there, that maybe she thought, I'm going to be the fall person. I don't think that it was as simple as, she knows she's corrupt, so she has to resign because being corrupt's not okay. Of course, being corrupt is fine in the Trump administration and in pretty much every presidential administration. But I think that she potentially thought, I'm going to be the fall person. That's what I would guess. If this has anything to do with her resignation, it's because she thought she was going to be the fall person. I'll go to the chat for the rest of the show here to see what you guys think. People are saying, yes, being corrupt is the standard. Kathy is saying, who cares why? Happy she's gone. I mean, I'm curious as to why. I mean, it's fun to speculate. And honestly, I have a feeling someone even worse is going to take her place. Chet's mom says, please find Ted Cruz toughest Texas ad. I always wondered who voted for Teddy. Loved you on AP, Ron. Thank you very much, Chet's mom. Babadook says hey to Lucy. Aw, Lucy. Babadook says hello. Say meow. She's over there. Balthasar, do you suffer from demonetization? Yes, I do. Do you worry about your channel's financial security? Yes, I do. Talk to your gram about Streamlabs. It saves you from Google. All right. I know. I got to do it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I know. I got to look into Streamlabs. I'll talk to Graham about it very soon. He'll be able to walk me through it. And I'll be spending a lot of time with him on the road very shortly. Sylvia Ross points out they'll pick somebody just as bad. And then I also said it. That's funny. Let's see. What else are people saying? So Garden Gnome says Trump does have a history of using scapegoats. That's one supporting point. So yeah, maybe this investigation scared her a little bit because she thought he's going to make an example of me. There's a good chance that Nikki Haley and Trump butt heads more than we realize, more than we see at the surface. And this is her trying to avoid some heat because she thought they might make an example out of me. Schultzy 100, wow, the right is getting very obnoxious lately. Lately they're just telling me to die, lefty. Why are these people so hostile? Good grief. Schultzy, when has the right ever not been hostile? Not everybody on the right, of course, but I mean, a lot of the right is always pretty hostile. I mean, when you look at what they stand for, they hate poor people. They hate anybody who isn't white. And I'm talking the establishment right. I'm not talking about libertarians. I'm talking about the establishment right. And I know there is a difference. That's another thing. That's something that annoys me that I'll point out. Sometimes when I do shows, and I'm the only progressive on it, I will see the difference between the establishment right and the mainstream Republicans and, libertarians like a Ron Paul. I see the difference between those two camps. I disagree with both on a lot. One, I do have some commonalities with. Libertarians want to end the wars. I agree with that. Libertarians want to end money in politics. I agree with that. We do have some common points of interest. I still disagree with them on a lot, but I see the difference between those two entities. Meanwhile, sometimes when I'm the only progressive and it's other right-leaning people, they don't see the difference between me and Nancy Pelosi. They don't see the difference between us two. And that annoys me. I'm like, dude, I see the difference on your side of the fence. Why can't you give me the same courtesy? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe it's just my personal experience. Real libertarians tend to stick to their basic principles. Republicans believe in whoever is cutting the check. I agree with that. Prohl Center says libertarians aren't really against war, not for the right reasons. They just think it's expensive and not worth American blood. I think it depends on the libertarian. I mean, yes, I do agree with you. I think some certainly fall into that camp. They don't care about the moral component of it at all. They just think it's a waste of resources, which it is. I mean, they are right. It very much is. But, you know, we also see the moral component of it, that this is morally repulsive. But I don't think, you know, I mean, there are some socialists that identify as socialist libertarians, so it's not all clear A and B, you know. There's a lot of gray area floating around. But yes, some libertarians do, of course, fall into that category that you're talking about, Pearl Center. They are extreme right-wing capitalists. That is very true. Jordan says most Democrats wouldn't see the difference between Republicans and Libertarians either, to be fair, though. Yeah, that's true, but, I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. I guess if it was like a Democrat talking on a similar panel, they wouldn't see the difference. An establishment Democrat, again. Chris says most reasonable libertarians are just confused left libertarians who have fallen for the free market fairy tale. I can go with that. So yeah, we're recognizing. My point is like I recognize those differences. Meanwhile, like sometimes people like to put everybody on the left in the same camp. And ironically enough, that camp is represented by something that's not to the left at all. The Democratic establishment is not on the left at all. Meanwhile, that's painted as the face of the left in the contemporary U.S. So I find that interesting. And I will check out that ad, Chet's mom. I heard it was pretty funny. Guys, we're totally out of time. RonPlacone.com for all my tour dates. And I got some coming up. Where am I going? November 2nd, I'm going to Sacramento, California. We are almost sold out. We are pretty much... Get your tickets now if you're going to get them. There's a good chance you won't be able to get in if you wait until the door. We are almost out of tickets. The venue is not that big. Please get your tickets now if you want to go to the Sacramento show. Peter Douche is going to be opening that show. November 3rd, San Francisco, California. Same deal. Get your tickets now. November 10th, Austin, Texas. November 23rd, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Grab your tickets for those shows at ronplacone.com. January, our Florida run is confirmed. January 9th, Gainesville. See you there. January 10th, Coral Gables. See you there, Southern Florida. January 11th, Orlando, Florida. January 12th, Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets for all those shows available at ronplacone.com. And you'll hear these announcements here first as they become available. Want to support this show on the sustainability end? Become a patron. Guys, pay what you can level. You can give $1 a month and you get all the same content. Everyone gets all the same stuff no matter what you give. And that includes my album. You're going to get my album delivered to your inbox, and it comes out November 2nd, and I'm so freaking stoked. So please consider becoming a patron if you can. Kathy Lloyd, thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. Thank you very, very much. Schultze also says, Carrot Tops Forever. Thank you for the Super Chat contribution as well. You guys are very kind, very generous. I cannot do this without you. You are the greatest. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We do the same time every Monday through Thursday, unless otherwise noted. 10 a.m. Pacific Standard, 1 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. Unless I can't make one for whatever reason, I'll be back tomorrow. I will see you then. Stay safe. Support your local farms. Peace.